It's understandable the mistrust that many black people have because of what happened in Tuskegee. I made a statement and I took this as my platform. Elect me mayor of Tuskegee, Alabama, and never again will we allow the federal government, the state government, or any other governmental body to come into Tuskegee, Alabama and take advantage of our people. That was my platform, and I meant it. But there is no reason in 2021 for any American to say that I'm not going to take the vaccine because of what happened in Tuskegee. In this day and time, black scientists, black doctors are involved in the development of the vaccine. They are involved in helping to shape the public policy, which makes it possible for this vaccination program to be administered to the American people. John Lewis talked about good trouble, fighting racism, fighting hunger, fighting inadequate health care, fighting COVID. It's a war, and you have to fight it just like you would fight any other war. I'm willing to go to jail, I'm willing to die for it, I'm willing to struggle for it because it is right. The struggle goes on.
Industry was hurting, but I didn't bandage the rope. Now I got too sick with it. Now we done found us.
You know, I mean, here comes Monmouth, the defending champs. Now they come in at North Carolina A&T for homecoming.
Advice to Monmouth for homecoming at A&T.
You're giving advice to Monmouth?
Yes. Very much needed advice for Monmouth for homecoming at A&T. Leave the band at home. But at homecoming, you can just get the whole 20 minutes to A&T.
Hey, don't sleep. Monmouth has been practicing neck all summer.
When we see Dr. Lee get out there on the field, we know something.
You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Rap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime! Get ready for Cracker Barrel National Battle of the Bands! Presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar. Sunday, August 29th, 4 o'clock, NRG Stadium in Houston. Featuring the hottest HBCU marching bands. Southern University, Langston University, Tennessee State, Norfolk State, North Carolina A&T State, Texas Southern, Bethune-Cookman, and Jackson State. Don't miss the battle on the field and the stands with scholarships. Over $500,000 in counting for our HBCUs. It's an HBCU experience you don't want to miss. With a weekend of activities with the Cracker Barrel Step and Stroll, Pepsi Zero Sugar Emerging Experience, Esports Masterclass and Gaming Tournament, and the free Pepsi Zero Sugar College and Health Fair. Tickets start at just $15. Get them right now at nationalbattleofthebands.com. It's the Cracker Barrel National Battle of the Bands. Sunday, August 29th, NRG Stadium, Houston. Gates open up at 2:30. Also sponsored by Cricket and HEB. NationalBattleOfTheBands.com. Get your tickets right now.
YT Productions.
Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson. And you gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, boy. You gon' learn today, how your team they play, how they play, yeah. We represent that swag, that MEAC, and let me say, what's up to Tennessee, stay. Tune into the HBCU Sports Lab with Dr. Bill, Mike and Charles.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Let me get my camera straight here a little bit as getting in the center of this center look. You know, I want to make sure y'all can see my new background, as they say. Where I want to go. There we go. Bring the people.
Might be prepping for the cameras already. Yeah, he sure is. Look at him. Man, I tell you. Showing off the office background. I see you.
Yeah. Welcome to episode. This is Dr. Bill Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Welcome to episode 167 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast. The show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora and all things HBCU sports from institutions large and small. From institutions of the NAIA to NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetic, to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. We're filming from our home studios, or at least I'm actually on the campus of Texas Southern University. It's that time of the year, and it's getting real for me to find a way to be around campus. I need to be a little closer into the action, man. I'm your host, along with co-host Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, as I said. They are filming from the home studio, sending a signal live to KCUH 1230 AM studios with Texas Radio Hall of Famer, I should say two-time Hall of Honoree, as he just recently was inducted into the HISD Hall of Fame, as they correctly call it over there, that
salute.
Hall of Honors.
Tip my hat and salute.
Salute to Ralph Cap, tip my cap, in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas, no doubt. As we get into it, today's episode of Inside HBCU Sports Lab with THG Agency. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and educational consulting and data analytics. Today's show brings us Steve Gaither, HBCU Game Day. We'll actually have A.D. Drew come from behind the production line as him, part of the sports rap. As you know, Brian and A.D., they're going to give us an update as I debut. I'm excited. I debut the mid-major poll rankings. No, don't worry. We were not going to forget about the CIAA, the SIAC, those Division II and NIA independents, as we like to call it, that are a member of other conferences, if you would. So we're going to get into that a little bit, and we'll give a lot of time to that breakdown. So we're going to have them gentlemen match it up for us in a lot of ways, if you would, to see what's going on, just to mix it up, get into a little CIAA, SIAC action. But as we get into it, you know, you all know that last Tuesday, you all blessed me with the opportunity to step away from. So I went to the Bahamas. Yeah, I'm rubbing it in just a little bit. Little bit.
Y'all nine peas and rice.
Let me not be this type of host. Let me ask Mike, how you doing today?
Oh man, I am pretty good. I am wearing my Tuesday shadow after being on the road for about 3 or 4 weeks straight. I'm wearing my Tuesday shadow. Don't get used to it. It's coming off. So we're getting it ready. Can't wait for the season to start on all levels. HBCU football ready, and getting ready for 1876 Sports and Culture podcast and streamlining starting August 29th. Coming to a streamlining.
What you say? What you say, man?
You heard me. I said 1876 Sports and Culture, aka the Hill.
Oh boy.
Panthers. So we're following my homeboy CB and Neely's footsteps. We're trying to get to that plateau. We're not there yet, but we're just getting started. We have 1 year under the belt, so we're starting season 2.
I told y'all, come on, y'all sticking in that podcast land. It's all right. I said you better come over to the streaming world. That's where it's at. I'm telling you. Yeah, D.I. Love. They were over there in that podcast land, and then they got a Twitch with the pregame show. Now they just kicking butt and taking names, man. You can't get enough. You get some inside information. I don't think you can get anywhere else in terms of what they got going on. It is.
Hanging with Troy Aikman and all the greats, and I'm like, we all.
Oh, you saw that too? You saw that too? Let me be a How you doing, Charles? We talking about you like you ain't even here. How you doing?
I know, right? All right. Doing well, Dr. Cavil. I had to put my professorial sport jacket on with you today. I'll register for classes. Got a couple classes to looks like I'm gonna teach here. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
He's an adjunct for real. Oh Lord, it's gonna get crazy out of here. Oh, I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm all of the above. Let's go. Then he's in one of the first doctoral courses we have in terms of athletic administration. So I'm excited about that. Mike will be in that class as well. And don't get it twisted. I will not take it easy on these guys. They're gonna be putting in some work. Major paper.
We know.
Goal is to get a publication. The goal is to get a publication. And if we don't, it's their fault. I'm just gonna put it like that. He said we know.
Understood.
Well, let me get back to what I was really wanting to get excited about, because we're running out of this time. I done ran my mouth and got all excited. Like I said, I went to the Bahamas, got to talk to some officials with the University Bahamas. So when I saw this, I was extremely excited. The University of the Virgin Islands HBCU basketball class. This is courtesy of HBCU Sports. Remember, HBCU Sports put out a little while ago, releasing a report where University of Virginia Islands released a new logo. Well, this time they are having a basketball classic surrounding with home events. They brought in a couple of HBCUs, Arkansas Baptist, Houston Tillerson, and William Forest are HBCUs that will be participating. They have one non-HBCU. There'll be 12 competitions, 6 men's games, 6 women's games. In terms of that, amazing, excited in terms of what's going on. They will be at the UVI Sports Fitness Center on the Orville E. King campus on St. Thomas. Great facility there. It is officially the Virgin Islands HBCU Basketball Classic. Dr. Gerald Drew, the Director of Athletics at UVI, said, quote, UVI Athletics is thrilled to offer the first Virgin Islands HBCU Classic, which was expected will create a lasting tradition of competition, community engagement, cultural and institutional pride, as well as education to further foster the support of HBCUs. No doubt about it. That's getting it going on. And then Monique Carroll. Remember Monique Carroll over there at Prairie View A&M assistant? She's been the athletic director for a while at Houston Tillerson. She was quoted as saying, quote, we are excited for our basketball programs to be selected for this event, said Dr. Monique Carroll. She also said this will be a phenomenal experience for our student athletes and a great way to return action against a field of teams who will be excited to compete as well. That's pretty awesome. let me go back to you, Charles. What are your thoughts on this?
It's really exciting. I'm really excited to have this preseason, if you will, or end of the football season, dovetail right into basketball season, basketball tournament there in the Virgin Islands that's going to feature our HBCU teams. This is historic, and this is what you want. You want to put those teams out front like that and give them the exposure that they so rightly deserve. So kudos for all officials in terms of putting that together, Dr. Cavil.
Yeah, I sure hope this doesn't conflict with any of my predetermined schedules, because I might find a way to have to get down there, look at COVID and all that. But outside of that, I might have to figure that out. Shoot, I might see if we have to talk to CEO Roy, talk about maybe this should be a game that we stream and participate in. We might have to talk to the athletic director, get him on, Dr. Drew, and see what he thinks about it. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I certainly echo that. I mean, this tournament is the main event for, the homecoming, or the 2021 homecoming. It's the tip-off for the return to intercollegiate athletics after the pandemic. Even though we still have that looming threat, I think the timing is something that we can't overlook. It's the tip-off, going into winter and even to the spring sport, but it's amply placed during the homecoming. So, what a perfect timing, what a perfect event to kick off. It's certainly very exciting. I echo what you and CB have just stated.
No doubt about it. As Charles would say, his famous quote, I just tease him because I like it. He got me hooked on saying it. I got to see what's that all about. But talking about COVID-19, as I said, also occurs to HBCU sports. I really appreciate this article they got in there, giving them some love. If there's to be a complete HBCU football season, everyone needs to follow Southern and Benedict examples in terms of an article that came at HBCU Sports. As you know by now, Southern has been all vaccinated. Just recently, you also heard about Benedict being all vaccinated. Coach Jason Riley talked about calling the parents, educating them, and then getting all the football team vaccinated in a lot of ways. So that's big. If we're going to see some football, we need to see people get vaccinated, obviously more than just college students in terms of the professors, who a lot of them may be in that high risk category, but fans that want to watch it. Because if you're not careful, you're going to see the next item that was up there. That's brought to you by MEAC Challenge, college game day built by Home Depot to kick off the 2021 season in Atlanta. But obviously you also had First Take, and First Take had to cancel. There's all of their road games, and a lot of that had to do with the uptick of COVID-19. Then you have Montgomery cancels all HBCU class the weekend events except for the football game from WSFA.com. So, I have some concerns right there as we get into it. We're right at the break, so I'm gonna let y'all think about that a little bit. We'll come back in, and before we get into polls, we'll get your thoughts on that, see about bringing in our guests, and then we'll take it from there. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Football bands, and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guests, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports Network.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
It's the show where we take you inside the game before the game begins. It's the pregame. With your host, Charles Bishop and Neely. So get ready, because we pregame harder than the other show's party. It's the pregame.
It's like a loop machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with none other than Steven Gaither, HBCU Game Day, A.D. Drew from Sports Rap, Brian and A.D. Sports Rap. We're going to get into it. We're going to see what these experts, they cover all HBCU sports. Don't get it twisted. But these gentlemen have an expertise like none other when you talk about their lived experience of living the CIAA, not only just covering, then A.D. Drew living the SIAC experience, not just covering all HBCU sports. So I wanted to bring them on to see what they thought about in a lot of ways in terms of my poll rankings. But before we get into that, a shout out to the folks that came into the lab and giving us some love: Stephen A. Miller, Ricky Burden, Franklin Nelson, Chuck Hunt, Lawrence D. White, Fred Whitted, just to name a few. We'll get back to some other folks that always come into the lab and get hard and heavy like that. But before we do that, before we chime in, let Steve get off the mic there. Let him get into it. Unmute his mic so we can get ready for his top comments and things going on. But Mike, what were your thoughts in terms of the COVID and these cancellations and the thought that Southern and Benedict are fully vaccinated?
Well, I think they're taking a page out of, you could look at other examples like the Atlanta Falcons, one of the first NFL teams to become 100% vaccinated. I think it's the right move. I think it's the move that's going to be required if we want to complete a full season as we know it. We know that COVID-19 has kind of changed the game, but I like the move. I like the leadership decision. They're also following a lot of corporate organizations, a lot of other organizations, such as the airlines, saying, if you're not vaccinated, you can't work. We can't have a season. We can't have a program. We can't have you fill in the blank. So I like the leadership move. I like the message that it sends, that it's important not only for us, but people, especially of our ethnicity, our background, to be vaccinated. I think it sends an important message. Those are my initial thoughts when I saw that.
No doubt. Good point. I will say this: the Southern was done before the Atlanta Falcons. I know they're the big brand in NFL, but kudos to Southern. They got it done before Atlanta.
Yeah,
maybe they would have
absolutely
to the Atlanta Falcons.
Hey, it tells me they're ready.
With that, Charles, what are your thoughts?
With regards to Southern, it tells me they're ready for the season. They're serious and they're about the business. But and I've said this before, it's our only way moving forward, and that's the stark reality of what we're looking at in terms of the new norm. When I think Neely says it best: you can have your own opinions, but not your own facts. And the facts tell us, or the science tells us, that vaccinations are the way to move forward in terms of trying to get to some sort of normalcy. So I'm going to continue to promote it, not just here, but on the pregame show. But it's just the direction that we have to go in terms of getting back to seeing what we want to see, which is a lot of HBCU events and football especially.
Steven Gaither, did you want to share any thoughts in terms of COVID-19 and teams getting it. Obviously, the SIC mandated that all members of the conference and those individuals associated, as you put that news out there front and center from HBCU game day, putting it out there. What are your thoughts, either Benedict, Southern, or just overall?
Well, yeah, first off, thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it. I would say, I think, coming off the media days, obviously that was a big topic of discussion. Other than the SWAC and a couple MEAC teams and TSU, most teams sat out. So I think everyone takes it seriously. Everyone knows that it's important. And I think we all understand now at this point, more so even than we did a month ago, that we're not out of the woods with it yet. So I think, you saw a lot of coaches, saying that they were really going to push, if not really just demand that their players get it, just listen to the science behind it. So I think everybody gets it. I think, after sitting out a year, I think a lot of these student athletes are very hungry to get back on the field. And, they may have some of their own misgivings, but, I think with being young people in a university situation and being able to think critically, we would hope that they'd be able to come to some conclusions for themselves as to what they need to go forward.
Great points made. A.D. Drew, you were previously a coach on the sideline. Obviously, it was a long time before COVID, but generally, what are your thoughts with that perspective?
Well, I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I thought the mandates that were being put out by some of the conferences and some of the schools were going to be challenged in court. And they have been. And to my surprise, Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett upheld the mandate, saying, yes, an institution can mandate that you have to have the vaccine. And it's interesting on the university level because it's not your only option. You do not have to attend classes on campus. They have online options, which means if you're going to be on campus, they can mandate it. And the most important thing that came out of it, playing sports at the collegiate level is not a right, but more of a privilege, which means you have no right to, there's no God-given right saying that you must play football, you must play basketball. So that's saying that these institutions can, and we've already seen some private institutions can. They challenged it with the state level, and this came out of a ruling in Indiana. But the thing with this was it was only good for that district. So there may be conflicting rulings coming out of other district courts sometime down the line, but thus far, the mandates have been upheld.
Great point when you get into the legal structure of that. And obviously, that was a verdict before it was reviewed by the Supreme Court. In fact, her ruling disallowed it to even come to the Supreme Court. But as you said, it's just one district, so another district, you may see a judge that looks at it differently based on case study. And then you get to the point where it ultimately will go to the Supreme Court. But you would think about how you've seen her ruling in the past on things, that she's going to have a framework that a lot of the other Supreme Court judges would have. So even if it gets there, you think it'll be held. And you think about it. You have universities that mitigated this for a long time, and they have rules on vaccinations that you have to get. So if you look at it from that perspective, it's just another vaccination that's getting into the list that you have to have many certain types of vaccinations. In this case, really before you even go to elementary school. So it's intriguing that you have some people talking about these anti-vaxxers, and some of them were anti-vaccination pre-COVID-19, but this really is taking it another level. All right, we'll move on into a different direction. What we're really here for. This is the debut of the mid-major preseason poll rankings. This is a voting poll. This is a computer ranking poll that we look at. So a little different than some of the polls out there, but I still love my computer analytics part of this. So I just want to get what y'all have to say. Receiving votes before we get into it. Kentucky State Thoroughbreds, 6-3, overall 2-19. So top 10. You have the Shaw Bears out of CIAA. 2019 last time they played. You pretty much hear that for all of the Division II NAIA programs, as most of them did not play or didn't have a enough of them to even create a poll ranking. So I just listed everybody 2019. At number 9, West Virginia State Yellow Jackets, 7-4, 7-3, 2019 at West Virginia Intercollegiate Athletic Conference there, 18 points, 5 points ahead of Shaw Bears. At number 8, Virginia Union Panthers out of the CIAA, 73, 5-2, 2019 record, 29 points overall. At number 7, sticking with the CIAA, you have Fayetteville State Broncos, 8-3, 6-1, 2019, 35 points. At number 6, rounding out the bottom 5, if you would, the first 10 in the top 10, first 5, I should say, in the top 10, goes to Albany State Golden Rams at number 6. They're out of the SIAC, as you know, 7-4, 5-1, 2019, 54 points. Before we get in the top 5, let's rest it here for a minute and go around, if you would, the program. Let's go with Steven Gaither, our guest, into the out of CIAA. Do you have any concerns or thoughts on Dr. Cavil's poll rankings this week? Now, be careful. You are invited. No, just kidding. Tell us what you feel. You on mute?
It's interesting to see so many CIAA teams at the bottom of this list. You know,
real quick.
That'll be interesting. You know, Fayetteville State has won the Southern Division of CIAA 3 years in a row. You know, Coach Hayes has got a really good product down there at Fayetteville. And for me to be a Ram and to say that, you know, it's got to be true, you know, but it is what it is. And then also Virginia Union as well. I think, you know, they were another team that, you know, in 2019, they beat a Division I school in Hampton. So, you know, they've I think a couple of the teams in the CIAA you know, I think they're going to be higher in that list when things end up, but it'd be interesting to see from there.
Yeah, you're right. There's a couple of other CIAA teams that are still out there. You know, don't get too damaging, but we'll see. I get a chance to get the whole poll ranking. But I like the way you think. I think you make some great points. So let's see what A.D. Drew says. You know, he might have a different slant on it. If he's not biased coming out of the SIC, let's see what he says.
He not biased? Man, you throw this poll out the window. I need to do like a Tony Reale on Around the Horn and ball up the piece of paper. Then I'm looking at it and throw it back at you, Doc. How do you not only how do you not have Tuskegee in the poll, but you don't even have them receiving votes. And they beat Kentucky State in 2019. Yes, I know Tuskegee's coming off a back-to-back 5-5.
Tuskegee may be in
but
the
it's
top
still Tuskegee. Take Shaw out, put Tuskegee in to give the poll some legitimacy.
Oh, wow. He's questioning the legitimacy of my poll. Mike, I thought you were damaging. My goodness, I don't need any.
He took one of my main points. I was like, I love it when genius comes to the forefront.
Tuskegee? That's where you're going to set the flag. Tuskegee. They were 5-5. I mean, you know.
Well, Virginia Union beat a weak ass Hampton, so I mean,
hey, they still. What's the scholarship max to FCS?
63.
Scholarship max and in Division II.
32.
36. You know, if you say
36.
if you give Hampton 55 and you give Virginia Union, I don't think any team in the CIAA had more than Shaw, which I think that Virginia Union has maybe 26. I don't know. That's pretty good. You know, anytime a D1 school, a D2 school beats a D1 school, I mean, you know, I think it's an upset.
No, I think you have to wait that a little bit. We can discuss that one a little bit more, just because plus scholarship.
Let me let Charles go get in here before we go to this.
I'm sorry, I hadn't even got mine out. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
you the one battering back and forth. You better say what you got to say. Go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead, Charles. Go ahead, CB.
No, I mean, first and foremost, wherever you put Kentucky State, I ain't got no problem with them because they still one of the options for 2019. They say so. I give you that one. But I think Steven touched on it. I was surprised to get Fayetteville State down in the second stack because you know they're predicted to win the Southern Division. So I was like, whoa, that was interesting. got brand new turf and everything. Then you gonna put them in the bottom 10? What are you doing?
Hey, man, it's early. It's a preseason. Oh, it's a juggle. But let me go to Mike before, he already tells me I don't give him the
Well,
Mike.
I mean, AD took my point on Tuskegee, but what about Albany State? Have they not finished strong in the last couple of years? Why are they number 6? Why should they not be higher in the polls? I don't see why Shaw should even be in the top 10. I think that you make some moves there and you give some legitimacy to this poll.
He was thinking Darryl Asbury Shaw teams. That's what happened.
Steven Gaither. Hold on, Steven Gaither. I know you got something to say. I'm gonna bring you back. I'm gonna let you get more. We got you for another 15 minutes. Let me go.
I'm sorry. I just got a text. It's Albany. I gotta pronounce it right. Albany.
Yeah, you better for you won't be able to go back to Georgia. With that being said, what I love listeners out there, y'all give me y'all thoughts. Get it up there now. The first 5 in the top 10 are in. Let me know your thoughts. We're gonna take this break. This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. And when we get back, we'll reveal the top 5 teams, including the number 1 preseason team. For a lot of people, that's probably not going to be much of a surprise, but these guys are giving me the blues in terms of everything else. So let me know y'all thoughts. Let me know if Dr. Cavil still got it. I know it's been 2 years since I did a fifth age poll rank, but my goodness, it sounds like I done fell apart. COVID-19 is ravaging everything, including my poll rank. With that being said, we'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned for the second half of the show.
The HBCU football experience is back in Atlanta on August 28th. College Game Day, the Coca-Cola Fan Experience, the Battle of the Bands, the Cricket MEAC Swag Challenge will have it all. Visit MEACSwagChallenge.com for more information.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
Can I get the now bar, please? $1. Have a good one. Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside HBCU Sports Labs. We have the guest, one of the best in the building, Steven Gaither, HBCU Game Day. Man, Steven, I came across the plug, when you supported us back in 2016. I'm gonna send you that picture, that text, where we had the graphic where we did the live Labor Day Classic opened the stadium for Prairie View. And you gave us much love on that. Man, I saw it the other day. That teased me. I was like, man, look at how HBCU game day has grown since then, man. You was a baby in the water then, man. You done blown up, grown up, getting it done. Nice job, man.
Trying to get that. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
No doubt. Appreciate the support back then. As we were blowing in the wind, we thought we was big time doing pregame stuff. A.D. Drew, good to see you. You tore up my little pole. I'm gonna give you the business. So you keep bringing it like that. But the folks seem to enjoy what you talking about. So maybe you got it right. Maybe you got it right. Let's get into the top 5 without further ado. Let me see if I get it a little better here. I got a couple of CIAA teams in here, so Gaither may be a little more happy this time. But we'll see. At number 5, maybe not. CIAA, Virginia State Trojans, 8-2, 6-1, 2019, 68 points. They come in at the 5 spot. Bringing us to number 4, one of the top 5 programs that these fellas talk a lot about, but most folks in terms of HBCU sports, maybe not. They sleep on these folks. This is the Langston Lions. NAIA program. There's some great wins and winning records, playoff experiences a couple of years, first out of the Central State Football League, and then recently, the last couple of years, they moved over to the Sooner Athletic Conferences. They're at 8-2, 7-1, one first place vote, 72 points. Bringing us to number 3. We're going to head into that Drew territory, SIAC, Miles Golden Bears. He may not be too happy because he's still talking about Tuskegee, but Miles Golden Bears says Tuskegee, 9-5-1, 2019, one first place vote. I got you there, Drew. One first place vote. At number 2, though, public institutions are holding it down, both in CIAA and in the SIAC. We're going to stay with the SIAC at number 2. We go to Savannah State Tigers, 7-3, 5-0. They in the hunt this year. They don't have any restrictions. So we'll see what it looks like now as they're playing for it all. 2 first place votes, going to the number 1 team, won it all back in 2019. They are reloaded. They look like they know what they're doing. We certainly know they coach very well. And they are out of the CIAA Northern Division, which is stacked. I gave y'all some homework assignments, so we're going to test these guys out after they tell me about my poll, what they think about that assignment. Number 1, Bowie State Bulldogs, 11-1, 7-0, 2019, 6 first place votes, 96 points. I know it's the CIAA, but I let Steve and Gaither lead us off, so I'm going to go to you, A.D. Drew. What about my top 5 program? Poll rankings, what do you say?
Steve?
Oh no, you start off. Go ahead, Drew.
Oh, I started off this time. My fault.
Yeah.
I thought you said.
Listen in the class. Listen in the class.
Gentlemen, man. I know he the guest. Let me run my show.
Put him in the corner. Put him in the corner.
You know what I'm saying? He late to the class. And
Come on, man.
Come on, man. You gonna get this F squared in your life. What you doing?
I think you got your top 5 right, Doc. Except I would flip 2 and 3. I think Miles should be the number 2 team. They went 9-2 on the previous season. Miles won the SIAC the last 2 years. Kind of hard to argue with Bowie being number 1. I like Langston right where they are. Virginia State, if Bowie State is not in the CIAA, is Virginia State's conference for the last 3 years. So I like the top 5, except flip-flop Miles and Savannah.
I'll take it. You can come back. Steven Gaither, what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna say it's pretty good. You could flip 5 and 4 for me. Virginia State.
I'm rolling.
State in 2019, they went 8-2. Their 2 losses. One was to a pretty solid Norfolk State team. You know, they're beating them sometimes, but they lost to them, and then they lost to Bowie State, who was 11-0 in the regular season. So those were their only 2 losses. I mean, you know, nationally ranked a couple times. They're not ranked this year in the poll. You know, I think Langston, obviously, what they do at the NAIA level is they've been great at that. I think you got Miles Savannah State right. You know, Savannah State, they were really looking forward to 2020 because that would have been their second year coming back into the SIAC, into D2. And, you know, the second and third year for my alma mater, Winston-Salem State, was when they really took off when they came back. The first year they didn't win the conference. Shaw, who you guys have in the poll, and you got me defending Shaw and Fayetteville State. And my CIAA people are probably not going to believe that, but I learned, how to do that at Winston-Salem State University. Got to give the truth. And Shaw.
I love it. Love the plug. I love the plug.
Shaw's on because Shaw's over Tuskegee because Shaw beat WSSU, and WSSU was horrible in 2019, and Tuskegee, they were giving away games, and Tuskegee couldn't beat them. So there's that.
Hey.
But yeah, I think you got the list right. Bowie State, by far. I mean, they have their run in the last 5 years or so. Just seeing their arc has been pretty impressive. It was a time where they would come and they would score a lot of points, and they would let you score a lot of points. And there was a time when people thought in the conference they were soft, and if you hit them in the mouth right, that they would fold. And that was true for a while. And then they got better, they got tougher, and they've really just perfected what they do. That coaching staff is second to none. And I think if you go through their roster, everybody's from Maryland or DC, except for maybe one or two guys, and they just really lock in local and do what they do. And their program speaks for itself, what they've done in the last 5 years or so.
Great point, and they do it well. I really like their coaching staff. I do have a little bias, in terms of defensive coordinator, spend some time at Prairie View, work with him and stuff like that. He's good. He's a coach in waiting. I can't wait for him to get his chance. He's been right on the cusp. Can't quite get over it, but he's doing it the right way. So he's going to land a really good job, I hope, instead of just taking anything. With that saying, as we up top of it, we got a little bit. Let me go to Charles, and then I'm going to get the mic last to make sure he gets his appropriate time in. So, Charles, what do you say about my top five? Steven Gaither, A.D. Drew said, man, they give me all the love. They welcome to come back anytime. Y'all better watch your spots. What you say, Charles?
Well, I think I got top five right. Miles and Savannah State, that's a good flip-flop because I'm not sure who is 2 and 3. I know Miles, a tremendously tough team in the SIAC, but Bowie State, I think we've said it. They have been one of the top programs in the CIAA, HBCUs in general. And when you talk about Jerome Johnson, you're talking about a quarterback that is here in SWAC country. We talk a quill glass, but Jerome Johnson is one of the top quarterbacks in the HBCU ranks as well for Bowie State. And then Joshua Pryor. This is a guy who doesn't get enough attention, but probably one of the top interior defensive linemen in HBCU football, and he should get a look in the league as well as on the back end for Bowie State. Dimitri Morcell, one of the top defensive backs, I think, in HBCU ranks. So you're talking about a team that's pretty solid on the offensive side and the defensive side. So, it's Bowie State until anybody can reach up and get them.
You safe, Charles. You can stay with us. Just say, Mike.
No. How can I argue with what's been stated? No, I agree. I think you could argue that your 4 through 6 you can flip flop, and there are several reasons for that.
Fair.
Yeah, for number one, without question is Bowie State. They went so many years. They led the league in total offense. They led CIAA in total offense. You could argue that they would lead other conferences in total offense. They fell down to number 3, 4, sometimes middle of the pack in defense. And to the point that was made earlier, you could say, well, you could hit them in the mouth. Several teams tried it and didn't do it. They just seemed to reload. But Miles has been the champion the last 2 years. I'm a fan of, if they've been champion for the last 2 years, kind of like Alcorn, what's to say they ain't going to reload? There's a culture there. So I could say that Miles could be number 2 and Savannah State's going to be up there. But for Albany State, correct me if I'm wrong, they do have a win against Miles either in 2019 or 2018. So they played really strong. On any given year, they could beat. So 4 through 6 to me, you could arguably interchange those. Langston, they've been gone 7-2 or something like 8-0, and they've done well in their conference. They're tops in offensive on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They've been very balanced in the last couple of years. So there's nothing to say that they won't be that way this year. So I think you did a great job here. I'll give you kudos. Don't record this because, I'm sure we'll come to another poll and I'll totally disagree with you. But great job with the top 5. But I think you could argue that the 4 through 6, Langston, Virginia State, and Albany State, you could interchange those anyway past 3, coming into the season.
Great points by all, man. All of y'all going to be welcome back for the next poll ranking we do at some point or as we get into part of the season, see how I'm doing. So all the seats are nice and full. So I appreciate the love there. Did want to give a shout out for Bowie State. They're the only lone HBCU program at the D2 poll. That's courtesy at HBCUGameDay.com. They tell you about some other Division II SIAC and CIAA programs that are getting some votes or consideration. So go check out that article. Great article there. Steven Gaither continues to bring it, teasing out a little bit as we're going to take a deeper dive on Thursday into his article that looked at the comparison. Check this one. I like this one too, man. We did a little bit about this, but he went inside the numbers in some ways, if you would, about the culture. He talked about the SWAC, Bethune-Cookman fam, the comparisons of Oklahoma and Texas going to SEC. I like that because a lot of folks wouldn't have caught that. A lot of people agree with it. Some people didn't. But great dialogue, great discussion. We'll get into that more. I want to do this. I asked everybody to do the homework. So quick, because we're going to take a break. If you look at the divisions, this is the homework assignment. If you look at the divisions, the teams in the SIAC East, the teams in the SIAC West, the teams in the CIAA South, the CIAA North, starting with Steve Gaither, which has the toughest division collection of teams now, in your opinion, between those 2 conferences and 4 divisions, Steve Gaither, which one is the toughest and which one is the weakest?
Without a doubt, CIAA North is the toughest. Again, Virginia State lost to a FCS team, and they lost to an undefeated Bowie State team. So those were the 2 losses on the year. They finished 8-2. While I like them to be in your top, definitely be higher in your top 5 at the end of the year. I think the least competitive right now, I'm gonna say the SIAC West.
Ooh, nice, Drew. Come in here. Break it down. Go ahead.
Until somebody takes, until somebody comes in and takes the porridge from the Miles Bears, and I mean. They have, Tuskegee, they have a great name. They got a great brand and, they've done a lot of great things, but, it's whatever you done for me lately. Now, nobody's playing in 2 years. I think that's the thing we all have to keep in mind. But when you talk about cultures, I think 2 of the gentlemen that we talked about, Miles College, Coach Ruffin over there, and then Coach Wilson over at Bowie State. I think if this was the older days before some of the FCS schools went to hiring coaches that only have D1 experience as head guys, I think both of these guys should be head guys at any prospective openings because I think they're great program builders. So, but I think the SIAC West, I'd have to give them the cupcake division.
No problem. AD, Drew, toughest and weakness. Make it quick. We got to get to this break.
I'm gonna make this quick. I really want to argue with that CIAA North, considering I'm an SIAC man, but it's tough to argue with that CIAA North. Although I say the SIAC East could give the CIAA North a run for its money. Ooh. But I think probably the least competitive is going to be the CIAA South. When is the last time the CIAA South beat somebody in the North or anywhere? Fayetteville State goes to the championship game and loses by 30 every year, it seems like. At least in the SIAC West, the champion comes out the West, so you can't say that they're worse off than the CIAA South when the champion has consistently come out the West, be it Tuskegee a few years ago or Miles. That's why I have to put them above that.
In terms of competitiveness, I hear where you're going. In terms of competitiveness, I would still say is that CIAA South, there's a team in Winston-Salem that used to be pretty good, but And
used to be, just like you said, Tuskegee.
They used to be pretty good. So since then, the CIAA, they're the Tuskegee of the CIAA. So
this is good. They have went to the license. We'll have
somebody is gonna rise to the top and somebody's gonna stay at the bottom, or we'll see.
Yeah, I like it. See, that's what happens when you get the good lectures going. It can really get in there. You had 2 weeks ago, Charles go to the license. A week ago, you had Mike go to the license. Now it looks like Drew and Steven Gaither are going to the license. They gonna bring it. We'll have to have y'all put on your lab jackets officially to drop the mic and make your point. With that, this is Dr. Cavil. We're into our last break, well above the breaking point, but we're gonna take our last break. We'll get some things that we'll do at the top of the hour. We'll close out and bring it home in the way that we always do. Stick with us, Dr. Cavil, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us for our last break.
Industry was hurting, but I done bandaged the rope. Now I got too sick with it. Now we done found us.
Here comes Monmouth. Now they come in at North Carolina A&T for homecoming.
Advice to Monmouth for homecoming at A&T. Leave the band at home. You can just get the whole 20 minutes to A&T.
With my powers and knocking the pitches down, trying to teach you business first and put your pitches down. Yo, Major.
Let's get back to getting ticks instead of watching flicks. Before we can safely get out there, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your crew.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime! Get ready for Cracker Barrel National Battle of the Bands! Presented by Pepsi Zero Sugar. Sunday, August 29th, 4 o'clock, NRG Stadium in Houston. Featuring the hottest HBCU marching bands. Southern University, Langston University, Tennessee State, Norfolk State, North Carolina A&T State, Texas Southern, Bethune-Cookman, and Jackson State. Don't miss the battle on the field and the stands with scholarships. Over $500,000 in counting for our HBCUs. It's an HBCU experience you don't want to miss. With a weekend of activities with the Cracker Barrel Step and Stroll, Pepsi Zero Sugar Immersion Experience, Esports Masterclass and Gaming Tournament, and the free Pepsi Zero Sugar College and Health Fair. Tickets start at just $15. Get them right now at nationalbattleofthebands.com. It's the Cracker Barrel National Battle of the Bands. Sunday, August 29th, NRG Stadium, Houston. Gates open up at 2:30. Also sponsored by Cricket and HEB. nationalbattleofthebands.com. Get your tickets right now.
Follow the Black College Sports Network on social media at MyBCSN1, the number 1, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at MyBCSN1.
Football bands, and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th, along with special guest, College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACChallenge.com for more information.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I wanted you all guys to get in there. You know, I wasn't going to leave you out. We're going to make sure that you all get some love. Let me go to you, Charles. You heard what the quote-unquote experts had to say, CIAA and SIAC. Let's restate the question. We asked people to do their homework, and they breaking it down now as we got it down there. But what are your thoughts? CIAA North, CIAA South, SIAC East, SIAC West. Which is the toughest?
Doc, let me tell you, can't nobody tell me nothing bad about the SIAC West, because I got sick of Kentucky State with the option and Tuskegee the year before with Jackson State. So SIAC West, they tough enough to me. But I will say, out of those divisions, I think when you take a look at the CIAA North, with Bowie State, Virginia State, and Virginia Union, that is probably the class act of both conferences when you take a look at the amount of talent all three of those teams have.
No doubt about that. Excuse me there. With that being said, let me go to Mike. What's your thoughts on these divisions? What is the toughest division at the mid-major now? What do you say?
Without question, I hate to admit it, but it's got to be the CIAA North. Going back to 2014, I think
it's a consensus.
Yeah. Bowie State, Virginia State, they got about 4 or 5 of the championships going back to 2014. So that's a competitive part, And then as far as the Southern, the weakest, you gotta go. You gotta go with the South. Unfortunately, since Fayetteville seems to go to the championship and lose convincingly every year. So, but I go with the CIAA North as the strongest.
Charles, did you say CIAA was the weakest in terms of?
I think the CIAA South, it's probably the weaker division out of
three people that said. Yeah, three of the 4 said SIAC. CIAA.
Until Winston-Salem State gets back in the mix, It's been Fayetteville State for a while now. So I wanted to ask Steve, we got to bring him back on because I was kind of looking for who might be those sleeper teams in the CIAA or in the SIAC.
Great point. Yeah, we'll certainly have to get him back on to give us a little breakdown and opinion in that. Really good question, and he will know what's going on there. We'll bring Drew as he broke down the SIAC for us and put it up, and he'll be regularly providing us updates. But let me go to you, Charles. What are some of your final thoughts? Anything that you wanted to make sure that you got out there in regards to hot news of the day that we didn't cover in the first part of the show?
Yeah, Black College Hall of Fame watch list came out today, and it's loaded with talent. We haven't had some of these teams play in a couple of years now, so you got a lot of talent that is on this watch list. When you're talking about Marquise Bell from Florida A&M, Aquill Glass, Alabama A&M, Christian Clark, big guy in the middle for Alabama State. You're talking about Javon Frazier, Virginia State. We're talking CIAA and SIAC today. You talk about some other guys, Mike Davis, quarterback from Morehouse, Jerome Johnson, we mentioned him from Bowie State. So you got a lot of talent up and down this list representing CIAA all the way through to the SWAC West. So it's going to be a tremendous season. Really looking forward to these guys putting their talent out there for the world to see.
Man, I like the comments there. Before I go to you, Mike, with your final thoughts, let me give a shout out to Lab Lectures. Those that hung in with us, they seem entertained today. It's a couple of weeks left, 20 plus days left before we get it on. Christopher White, Sarah Beverly, Frankie Nelson, Lonnie Shaw, Travis Rose, Dwight Moore is giving us that business and give us the information. Chuck Hunt is always in the house. Karen Griffin must always giving true love in terms of what's going on at us. Belinda Johnson, making sure she gets in the mix in terms of comment. Kevin Harrison, Willie Alex Hine, Jimmy L. Wilson is in the building. He's must have found out we were going to talk a little bit about the basketball with the UVI basketball tournament. You know, he got that basketball love, giving him a shout out. A couple of folks said, Charles, you did your homework this week in terms of CIAA analysis. I like it. Shannon McGee, Lawrence D. White, giving us some love in the building in terms of what's going on. So just wanted to give a shout out to all the lab lectures that are out there. Jesse Bishop, making sure we give much love for all that. I like it. Hi, Mom. Appreciate you. Oh man, she had a great time in the suite, especially when Jackson State found a way to get the victory. Boy, I tell you,
had a blast.
I was like, it's a bad charm? I got to figure out how to put some garlic around or something. She wasn't coming anytime, but that hurt my feelings there. Quentin Henry, all these folks in the building, Trudy Johnson, Tom Anderson, Troy Lamont, Coleman, all we getting it done. AD just got married. He's all discombobulated. Ricky Burton, giving all the information. With that, Mike, what was your latest news that you wanted to make sure we closed out with the show?
Yeah, hit them with a flight of the bumblebee. Let's talk bands. We done talk football. Let's talk a little bit about the band. Grambling State
Wow.
So their drum majors, Deontay Gibson, Candace Hawthorne, and Chevion Jones have been named the official drum majors for the Grambling Tigers. So kudos to them. But I talked to a few band geeks in different and Southern and Dallas and Prairie View, and they were they all one response in common. What took them so long?
Oh yeah, Mike is gonna keep it real. With that, we'll bring it to a close. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Hope you enjoyed our guest. That is Steven Gaither of HBCU Game Day, as well as pulling in A.D. Drew behind the scenes, giving us that work from the sports rap, and that's Brian and A.D. Make sure you check them out. They had a great show where they gave some love to the North Carolina A&T. I'm not so much sure if it was love to some of the members of the Big South, just telling them, hey, this is your experience that you need to be getting ready if you're coming to North Carolina A&T, especially for homecoming. Forget who that opponent is, but just throwing it out there. I didn't forget, but you know how I am. You know how I do it. So much love there. Check us out every Tuesday and Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. We look forward to the next week as we discuss the latest in the lab. And that next week is actually just Thursday. Stick with us. We'll bring it hot and heavy as we get into some more dialogue, a little more of the football scene. We'll chop it up a little more about that. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's DrKenyattacavil. Follow Charles Bishop, Instagram, The I Love. Really, it's the pregame show as he brings it hot and heavy, man. Those little short film clips. If you're not getting that information, you're missing it. Mike Washington on Twitter. Check him out as you see it scrolling at the bottom. Make sure you give us love. We appreciate it. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter. Hit us up, subscribe, like, all those good things. Facebook, YouTube, Inside the HBCU Sports Labs. The numbers continue to grow. We appreciate everything you're doing for us. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Dismiss.